Unmute.
You got Mel on now.
We're good.
Not that I know what I look like with that stuff. Get it out of my mouth. Okay, we'll call the meeting of Hardee County Board of Education in session. And let's see, Sheena, you want to offer prayer?
Sure. Let's bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity this evening to come together. We thank you for the safety that you've provided our county system and our students and the protection that you've given us. We thank you for Janet's healing, Lord, and we ask you continue to be with her and guide her for complete healing. We ask, Father, that you help us to make good decisions this evening, that we keep your will and your word in mind as we do the best for our students. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Melvin, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we'll go with introductions. Steve, if you want to start.
Sarah Earl,
Doug Hines.
Dixie Bean.
Norman Schultz.
Sheena Van Meter,
Joanne Dollars. Jennifer Strouderman.
Roy Harper.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, Janet. Okay, and didn't I hear you say that Rebecca won't be here this evening?
she is not, but we do have a presentation for you still to share and go over.
Okay,
Sarah
okay.
has agreed to help with kind of taking the lead on that. We just had a little bit of information we wanted you to have for consideration. I'll start by saying that we, as we are looking at our personnel numbers and where we stand, we recently lost, had an employee leave Moorfield Middle to take an open position at Moorfield Intermediate. And that person was a half-time Moorfield Middle, half-time Moorfield Intermediate school cook. We did not replace that position. We did not repost it, leaving you with 3 and 3 at each school. And so that, of course, has just caused some turmoil as far as people never like it when they lose extra help. That leaves Moorfield Middle that has about 310 students with 3 full-time cooks, and Moorfield Intermediate that has about 305 students with 3 full-time cooks. And so we wanted to kind of share what we're looking at and why that was the decision to not repost. And Sarah has some research and information things that she's pulled to share with you on that end. And then Becca sent a PowerPoint that I gave you a handout of we can talk about too.
Which one to start with?
Let's start with the PowerPoint
The
first.
PowerPoint? Okay. Becca put this together, and I think after the first page, that has the date for today on, she gave a look at the reimbursement rates for breakfast and lunch. Just to show you guys over the last couple of years where those have increased and decreased between, breakfast and lunch. Current years, the breakfast have increased by 11 cents and lunch has increased by 18 cents. Where we're at there. Now something else to keep in mind, that took me a while to comprehend when I was trying to do our reimbursement rates and stuff. Because we are CEFP, so all the students eat for free. The students everyone eats for free, but the students who are legitimately eligible for a free meal are reimbursed at the $4.45 for lunch that you see there. Any student who would be a paid student, our reimbursement rate is only 44 cents per lunch. However,
That's what's costing us.
well, it makes a little bit of difference. However, it's probably overall, you probably get more students eating and more students going through the line with it being a free county and getting those meals for free.
Who sets those rates?
Those rates are set by the state.
Imagine that.
And I think, is it not a federal reimbursement
And
rate
it probably
that
comes
filters
from
through?
federal. Federal probably.
Yeah.
whenever we renew, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong about this. Whenever we kind of recertify for the CEP, we always make sure that the percentage of kids that qualify are high enough so that the money we bring in should cover the overall cost of the food itself, right? Isn't that kind of the standard we look for?
Right.
It has to be at a certain rate
She
to make
always-
it worth it.
Well, yeah, she always tries to recertify when it's a higher percent, because you can lock it in for 4 years. So within those 4 years, she'll look at the numbers each
Of kids
year.
that qualify for free
Is it
reduce.
qualified? And if the number increases, the percentage increases, then she'll try to go ahead and lock it back in for 4 years from that point.
Yeah, so
So
I
we can do
know,
that at any time.
going way, way, way back to when we first became a CEP school, there was a time when we only did it at a couple schools in the county in the very beginning. And we did that early on because we wanted to make sure that the money we were getting back on that reimbursement was actually worth it because of the varying percentage rates versus people having to pay for it. Like, we wanted to make sure we were gonna get the meal costs covered, basically. So as that rate increased, we were able to do it for the whole county, knowing it still shouldn't cost us a bunch of money. That was the history of it all. If that
And
makes
that's,
sense.
yeah, I mean, she may look at those numbers. I've never looked at them, but that might be what she's basing when she
I think that helps you.
requalifies off of.
What's the percentage of paid and free?
It's 86, that's on one of these
Okay.
spreadsheets.
Okay.
So in the PowerPoint,
Yeah, it's on the PowerPoint.
next page
Sorry.
then.
The next page there, 85.6% is the current qualified for free meals. So each time, and they strictly take that percent. So if we serve during the month of September, if we serve 10,000 meals, they will take 85.6% of those meals reimbursed at the free rate, and the other percent, regardless of who. They don't keep track of who actually eats and reimburses it at that.
So the 14.4% was 44 cents.
Yes.
What's the full figure of the other? $4.
$4.45.
Okay.
And that's lunch, and then there's, breakfast as well, but that's kind of how that works. And it does come out to that, because I was running it to make sure I understood that 85.6% of that, is reimbursed, or those meals are reimbursed at that rate.
This is for the past 4 years, so
So we're in the last year, according to Becca, we're in the last year of that. So she will need to requalify.
sometime throughout the school year,
Yeah.
and she can do it any day of the month or whatever.
So the rate comes from the direct cert that's done through like the EHHS, the folks that actually apply that qualify for any type of services through the EHHS. That's where that rate is coming from. It's called the direct certification rate. She actually gets it from them. I'm not sure what that process looks like as far as if she goes on. I'm sure it's a certified number online for our county. I'm sure that's where she needs it, and I would imagine that it's just as high now as it has been, but it'll be important that it stays high for us to be able to continue to do the free meal thing.
The next, not sure what she has on the next sheet, Connor. Okay, the next one shows the number of cooks, and this was for 23-24 school year. It shows the number of cooks that we had at each school, the total breakfast counts for that year, the total lunch counts for that year, and then she just did an average per day for the breakfast and lunch at each of those schools. To give you an idea of what the number that of cooks there and the amount of meals that they're serving. And I believe the last page in the PowerPoint, she broke it down for the first 17 days of the year for this year, and then the first 17 days of last year, to give you a comparison of where we are currently compared to last year. And for some reason, our numbers have gone down. But the first column shows you the breakfast counts to date to September 11th, 2024 for this current year. And she did a total meals and then a per day average side by side there. Then the next column would show the first 17 days of 2024 school year, the total that had been served in those first 17 days, and then the per day average. And then she did the same thing with lunch. So the third column shows the lunch counts through September 11 of this current year, and then the per day amount, and then the lunch counts for the prior year and the per day amount. And then in the last column, she gave the enrollment side by side.
When's the last time the rates increased for the state
For the meals, they increased this year.
this year?
Mhm. Yep. They typically do a few cents increase
cents
each year.
Well, it looks like that for the first days of school, that, my goodness, Moorfield High School is, their breakfast counts down in half, less than half.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bad.
Yeah, that was the first one I noticed. And I did talk to her about that, and she said she was trying to look into that and figure out what was going on there.
I mean, the others, they're down a little bit, but
Do the kids still have the option of the grab and go
Yes,
breakfast?
yes, they do.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe if that was gone, that might help account for some of the decrease.
Does that calculate into the numbers or not?
Yeah, I mean, they count just like a regular breakfast would. So if they get the grab and go instead, they have a circle sheet where they determine how many kids took those, and that counts towards the numbers. So it all counts.
Would she have a number of how many is eating the grab and go and how many is eating hot breakfast?
Because the hot breakfast, I think they actually put that student finger scanner or number in. The grabbing it, it's a different location. They do the sheets. Now, I was over here Friday morning and stood with Monica Orndorff, who does the breakfast in the hallway. There are a couple folks who stand at different places with the bag breakfast. And she had 25 bags, and it was like pulling teeth to get those kids to take one of them. I mean, she was doing everything but saying, you've got to take it and eat it. Like, take it and eat something out of the bag. And so every now and again, they would feel bad for her, and they would take one. And we talked about, like, I said, I wonder if you told them that there's a prize in one of these, and you don't know which one it's going to be, but you take a bag breakfast, and there's a thing for a free T-shirt or an ink pen or a cougar sticker or something like that would get them to just take it and maybe eat something out of it. And we talked about some things to do to kind of motivate them, but the excuses we were given were, I had a yogurt already. I have a bar in my bag. I'm not hungry now. I mean, it's earlier in the day. We're starting school a good bit earlier, so I don't know if they aren't hungry yet. They're just not interested at that point in coming in and sitting down and eating.
Is every school starting earlier?
Yep, everybody let in earlier this year.
Are they allowed to bring food from home for breakfast?
Yeah, they're not supposed to eat it in the cafeteria, but if they're eating it, in between classes or, walking down the hallway and eating a granola bar.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the grab and go, can they still take it to their homeroom or whatever it's called?
Yeah, take it down the hall with them.
What about the hot breakfast over there? Is that still being shunned, or is that a go?
Over,
At these parties?
there were a lot of kids who were going down and getting the hot breakfast, and the hot breakfast even in the little trays to take to the room. So they do eat in the cafeteria, take it down the hall, or grab a bag, which is their third option. I saw a few of those. I don't remember how high they were this year, but I don't think they were up as much as they were last year either, if I remember.
So if the hot kids have to scan their finger and the grab and go do not, why are we doing scanning?
Because anything served out of the cafeteria through the line, we have to track it. The second chance is like an innovative breakfast strategy you have to have. And it's just one of the things the state allows you just to track that way.
But the state requires you to scan
The
if
state
I eat
requires
hot.
you to do it. You put a number in, scan a finger, They have to be. If you make-
But the grant
yeah,
goes,
you
you
have
just
to,
keep
yeah.
a count of those, does it?
Yeah,
How
and
many hours?
Because I know that occupies a person,
yes, it does in the kitchen.
and that's part of the issue of not having enough cooks
Yeah.
or cafeteria staff, sorry.
Yes, and anybody can do that. I mean, a principal can do it, a teacher can do it. Somebody's just got to make sure it pops up and that's who's the person in front of you. So we've talked about ways to do that too. Like instead of it having to be a cafeteria manager that needs to be in there making lunch, can it be somebody else in the building? And the answer to that is yes. They just have to be trained on how to do it and willing. And, you know, we give a free lunch or a free breakfast to the person that's willing to do it. So that's one of the things. Do you want to talk, because we have kind of some information about what other counties are doing too. This might be interesting to hear.
Yeah, and we had looked at some of the,
Do we have that?
I had, when we were talking about, you know, because we are over formula and trying not to increase the number that we are over formula, and we had looked at the cook situation there, and had, you know, been able to even it out, 3 at Mooresville Middle School and 3 at Mooresville Intermediate School. I just kind of pulled some of the other counties, local counties, Hampshire and Grant, were the 2 that I kind of pulled real quick just to see how they stacked up against us as far as cooks and cafeteria managers that they had in their counties. Our enrollment was around 2,180 this past year, and we had 21 cooks between cafeteria managers and cooks. We had 21. Hampshire County, their enrollment was 2,800, and they had 19 cooks in the county. So with 620 more students, they had 2 fewer cooks in their county than we did. Grant County, their enrollment was 1,611, and they had 12 and a half cooks. Of course, that's about 600 less than us.
How many schools? What is the difference?
Grant County has 4.
Hampshire has a bunch of
But
them.
Hampshire has 9, I believe. And they actually, and then I called a couple just to say, hey, how do you all do this? Or what do you have? I talked to Maysville in Grant County. I called the principal there and talked to her. They have currently 208 students enrolled, and they have 1.5 cooks. So they have one of their cooks shows up from 6 to 10 a.m. and the other cook works 6 to 2. And the principal told me that she scans, and that at that location, she scans the students as they go through the line, and she said the cook takes care of everything else. She said occasionally, you know, if there's 3 different things, she'll scoop one while she scans them in as well to get them through the line. But they operate that way. I also talked to Slanesville. Their current enrollment is 215, and they only have 1 cook. No half, just 1. And they actually do 2 lunches. So they said that typically there, one of the aides will scan the numbers in or scan the fingers. And
we called back because we heard somebody told us, one of the cooks said something like, well, if they're doing that, they're serving all frozen, whatever. So we called and they said, no, actually they get their beef from Flying W. Their sausage comes from, it's fresh meals. It's all homemade stuff too.
It'd be interesting to see their menus as well.
Yeah.
The schools and
They might be,
I was wondering if they were in
you did Hampshire and Grant, so they should be in that stack that we passed around. But yeah, so interesting. I know that
But here they are, Doug, they kind of got.
we got to figure
stuck
out
there.
as far as having somebody assist with the finger scanning, because that seems to take up a lot of time from usually the cafeteria manager. But I really think if we can find one of the folks on duty that are willing to do that,
Personally, I
I
guess you got,
That's what.
we figured out the schools that were giving lunches that were not paid out to people in their building. So we said to the principals, tell us who you feed for free and why. So I think that there was a misconception that the food that we get is free. So because we're feeding everybody for free, that the food is free, therefore whatever's left over, whatever we get, it doesn't cost us anything, so people can eat it. And so we've been trying to explain that, in fact, no, that's not the way that it works. We still have to purchase the food. We still have to pay for equipment. We still have to pay for any supplies that the kitchens use, and we pay for payroll out of that fund too. So unless a person comes through that's a child that we get reimbursed for that meal, that we get reimbursed for, but we get reimbursed for 0 adult meals. So if you have, let's just say a custodian who has agreed to take out trash and wipe tables, we've always considered those folks program adults, and we feed them breakfast and lunch usually at no charge, but then we're paying for that out of that fund because it's a service to child nutrition. And some of that's okay because it's worth it. Like when we're talking about having somebody cover lunch and run the finger scanners for us, as opposed to taking a cook away from the kitchen to do that, it would be worth it to give them lunch for that. And breakfast if they ran the finger scanner at breakfast. What we found was we had a very large number of people eating for free to the tune of around $76,000 if you added it up at $450 a meal for lunch and $350 for breakfast. So we tried to cut that back and say no to some people and make them say, if you're going to put them on the list, we need to know why, what they're doing, who's approving it. And then Becca created a button in her system that says principals list, where only the people that are on that approved list, when you push that button, that'll track those folks separate from our people who are considered program adults. So the custodians, the cooks who eat for free, people that are helping child nutrition are going to come out of that fund and be tracked here, but that other button will track the person who is doing lunch duty for us, because we can't get a lunch duty built into the schedule, and they're giving up their lunch to come and they're giving up their duty-free lunch to cover lunch for us. And then let's say Mr. Harper's in there doing lunch duty, he's giving up, forfeiting his duty-free lunch because he's going to be in there the whole time. He would get that free lunch. They're tracked in a separate pot, so that at the end of the year we can say, okay, these are the folks that we've agreed to pay for separately. These are the folks that'll come out of child nutrition, and hopefully have a better idea of who and what that is. And I think what Becca will share too, she found out that some schools were ordering food, and this is going to be a bad example, but this is how I understand it. So let's say I'm going to make macaroni and cheese, and instead of determining that I have 30 people eating, how much half a cup is a serving, I need X amount of servings, meaning I need X amount of boxes based upon what that box serves. I'm just going to buy 4 boxes of macaroni. I'm going to buy 4 containers of cheese, and I'm going to make the macaroni and cheese and feed the kids, and whatever's left over is just left over and anybody can eat it. We found out some schools were doing it that way, which she's trying to now curb and, change that too, because the argument that I was getting from people where there's a lot of food left over, and not left over on a kid's plate, because that's a paid for meal, but left over, like when I go in the kitchen, they've got 3 pans of this left over, so we're eating it. And our argument was, well, then they should adjust the menu so that there's not, there aren't 3 pans left over. It should just be enough to feed the number of kids that ate the last time. But I don't think that everybody was going back and doing that. Some were, but some were not. Make sense?
Yeah.
So we have a lot of little things that need to be adjusted. But the personnel thing, we really need to make sure that we're helping our cooks the best we can with other folks when possible, because when it comes down to the end of the year, we're going to have to cut people from somewhere. And if they can make this work and we can support them in a different way, it makes more sense to take those 2 half-time cooks away now than doing it at the end of the year. And I'm sure that there are other kitchens that will also likely need to have cooks reduced, but they're not moving around now and giving us the opportunity to do it until the end of the year. So, and if you all would prefer that to be handled differently, then you just have to communicate that to us and give some ideas as to
Since
other avenues.
we're talking about that, there was one thing that was talked about a lot at the conference we went to. When you all deliver the letters, who does that?
At the end of during RIF season, Jody and Patty go out to do it. unless it's something that is extremely unexpected and kind of a bigger deal than a normal risk, and then I go with them.
They were
Like-
down there, they said, they all said the superintendent was the one that
Okay.
did that.
And we did that when we moved 7th and 8th grade up here, we sat down and met with everybody ahead of time, and then I went with them. If it's the normal, they always have the right to meet with me if it's anything questionable, but if you all want me to do that, I can certainly.
It might be better, Shanna,
Yeah.
because we're gonna have a lot of it this year. Or Dr. Ramey, sorry, Dr. Ramey.
That's okay, yeah.
It's, really.
I have no problem at all doing that.
And that was pretty much the consensus, wasn't it, Mr. Shook?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then the next thing that,
That just means she can't hear us.
lost my train of thought there. I'll think of it again in a second.
I've always been concerned about the amount of waste that we have in our kitchens,
West
In
Virginia.
the years that we've been there, the kids aren't gonna eat some of it. Tons of food away, I'm sure.
Well, have we ever did a survey of the students of what would you like for lunch? And I know there's all kinds of federal, state requirements. I understand that. But as I looked briefly through those other counties, I mean, that one county had pizza every week.
So Becca says that we do have pizza. That we do have pizza every Friday in some form, either pizza or pepperoni roll, because I talked to her about that. And she said, yes, pepperoni pepperoni rolls alternate on Fridays because the kids really do like that. So sometimes it's French bread, sometimes it's a pepperoni roll, sometimes it's a Pizza Hut pizza. So she says yes. And she says that she was actually coming to the next meeting because I told her there would be questions like that you all wanted answers, which was the original, discussion when she was coming here, that, she would have to talk to you about, but she says yes.
I just, and again, I'll reiterate that I've been on lunch duty forever
Yeah.
when I was teaching. And, they had spinach and eggs when I was in school and no one ate it and they're still serving it.
Macaroni and cheese, spinach and eggs.
Yeah, are you kidding me? It just, but I know there's parameters and guidelines that you've got to go through and
Yeah.
a certain amount of sodium and all this other garbage. But I mean, really, find something that these kids will eat.
I 100%
And-
agree. Yes.
Their trash cans won't be so full.
Bologna and cheese sandwich.
Bologna and cheese would be great. They would eat it.
Oh, I
Too much
I would.
fat. I bet it.
No, I bet the salt.
Probably
Yeah, you're right.
salt in the bologna, that's true.
But
Yeah, I think it's important to do. I think there are a variety of things we need to do. I do think food options and what we're offering is a big part of getting kids to eat. I 100% agree with that.
Always like
And
that.
I think we need to look at what can we, give us some menus. That's why we pulled the others, and I had Sean pull those 10, because if they can serve it, we can serve it. They're all much.
yeah, I'd love to get a copy of those because I just, and we almost need September's because that one school was only 1 week.
Yeah, I had her print them back a couple weeks ago when we originally talked about it. I think it was that next day. I said, "You go on and print those off." But I think that's something we need to look at. I think we need to look at staffing and who's doing what. I know that some of the cooks have titles such as this person does the baking, this person does the main dish, this person does the salad bar. And I think there's and I don't mean this as a negative thing. I think it's how we've kind of trained them, that when we hire them, we say, Melvin, you're the salad bar person. Dixie, you do the baking. And then if that person's finished baking, they're like, well, I'm finished my baking. My bread is here. And they don't always jump in and help in every building do the rest of the jobs. And I think that's something that maybe we need to take away the expectation of you're always the person that just does this thing and you all have to just cook this whole meal and get it ready
Sure.
by a certain time. And that may help explain things. The cafeteria manager title is something that's been a point of, I won't say controversy, discussion over many, many years. And I've talked to Peggy about it from when they're being hired, and Jody and Sarah and I talked about it. And Jody today gave me an example of one of the job descriptions of a cafeteria manager. And this person was hired in 2011 as a 205-day cafeteria manager / cook 3. And they are forever arguing that half of their day they are cafeteria manager and half of their day they're cook 3. That is not the case. You're the cook with the cafeteria manager duties. They are just stacked. And so if you're an aide with an autism mentor duty, you're still an aide with an autism mentor responsibilities. It's the same. It's just like a dual classification. So I think when we calculate the amount of time they spend cooking, we calculated at 0.25 and think, if you're there for an 8-hour day, surely in 2 hours of that, you can get your paperwork done. If you're spending 2 hours every day doing paperwork, the rest of that time you should be able to dedicate towards doing, your helping cook in the kitchen. So there's that conversation that comes up regularly. That was 2011, and then again moved to a different position in 2016-17, and the description is the same thing. The job description doesn't say anything about a percentage of time doing paperwork versus the other. And again, I think it's when we hire them, I think it's just the way, one of those things that's the way it's always been understood. And then when they come in, they think, well, I'm half and half, but it's not a half and half. Just because the slash is in the middle of the two doesn't mean 50-50. And so again, maybe the way we have that posted or worded is confusing.
Who oversees those positions? Cafeteria manager.
The principal is the direct supervisor of every cafeteria manager. Becca is a level of administrative oversight from our office, but she doesn't have the authority to discipline them, anything of that sort, or evaluate them. That
But the
comes directly
principal
from
probably
the
doesn't
principal.
understand that you can do your paperwork in 2 hours, and it says 50-50. He thinks that's what it is, I'm sure,
Yeah, that very well may be the case. It could be the conversation we have. I mean, we have great cooks. We have really,
Oh my
really
gosh.
great cooks, and our principals love them. And so it's hard. They immediately go to their defense, which I did too. I mean, you want your people to be taken care of because they really do a nice job. So it's hard conversations to have to get somebody to understand we're asking you to do more, than what you were maybe thinking you're going to have to do.
You don't ask them to do more, you just ask them to spread their time
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and use it better.
So just a heads up to you guys, I know it puts you in a bad position, but if we don't start eliminating a little bit of that now, it just makes the rest of the year more messy and harder.
When are they going to kind of come down with the hammer with explaining to the cafeteria manager that she or he needs to be kicking in and helping? And
I think that they're all kicking in and helping for sure right now. Like, I don't think that it's an issue with them not helping. It becomes a topic of conversation when we begin to eliminate cooks. Because when we say they have 3 full-time cooks at Moorfield Middle and Moorfield Intermediate, they will tell you, no, we have 2.5 because half-time of one of those people would be considered a cafeteria manager. So that's when it comes down to it. And there's an old formula that you can look at: number of meals, a number of hours per meal per hour per cook.
That's what they always
But it's a
used to come
flexible
and
thing.
say.
The code says the average is 100 per 1. That's what the code says. That was an old average that was just a recommendation. With that, if you count a cafeteria manager as a full person, we're meeting that. And that's not a requirement. As you can see, many counties have way fewer than us. That's just a recommendation. I would tell you, I don't think we can add any more than what we have right now. And I think that there are some schools that are still probably, based on our declining enrollment, higher than they need to be.
I know what my thought was, and maybe you've already taken this into consideration, but I know that the large class, what are there,
46 right now.
in the large class?
Moorfield High School's current senior class.
Okay, and they're graduating this year, and the 11th, I don't know how many's in the 11th grade now.
Do you have that page with you?
The
Sarah?
upcoming class has 109.
Current juniors.
The 8th grade class. So the class that'll be
Oh.
replacing, sorry, I was looking
Yeah,
at it
you're
that way.
You're
The
right.
senior graduating class is 142. The class that'll be coming up there is 108.
So we're going to lose,
34 kids.
and so that's 3 teachers,
Not
close
quite.
to it.
Not quite,
Yeah. So,
but it'll be impactful.
but as soon, even if we get down to our numbers and then we see what the numbers are next year without those kids, we're going to be behind already.
Well, and I think that when we do.
We need to go
we're
ahead
factoring
and,
in. I think
yeah.
when we look at what we'll have next
Okay.
year, that's kind of
I
how
wanted to
we'll
make
build our
sure
plan.
we were going to do that.
Yeah.
So I
It'll be
figured that
blast.
you all would be proactive on that, but it's like,
It's not fun for anyone,
no, it's not.
but it's
Definitely
it's a
not.
necessary evil.
We're currently up right around 17 in enrollment this year.
Yeah, so we were up 50, the last time I told them 51, which was what our numbers had shown, so I'll let you explain that to you.
So now we're at 17.
We're right around
Lord have
17.
That's one
mercy.
teacher.
And that's about 1.23 teachers
And
and 0.83 service.
and that could change. That could, more chances than not, it's not gonna go up. It'll go down instead of up. It could.
We have the
Depending on if
potential
anybody's
with the
moving in,
new
yeah.
apartment buildings, I think,
I mean, I
to
don't
pick
know
up
what'll
a
happen
few.
there. But, that gives us a little bit of a buffer for this year. Helps a little bit. And we should, if come October 1st, those numbers stay, then we should get that additional funding sometime in December for having that extra amount.
We're not gonna hire anybody, are we, for that,
Not unless code dictates we have to,
in your elementary schools?
or special ed,
Oh, okay.
yeah, because they have that 30 max too.
Yeah. So, I
Unless
mean,
they're severe.
it's not ideal, but we had a couple that we didn't replace from last year. This gives us a couple more positions. And then,
Well-
once the certified list is done, we're just gonna have to
I
see
didn't
where we
bring
actually stand.
my information in, but they gave us the sheets that were just out. And we were under in professional, and we were ended up being 3 over in service. Is that,
I
Do you
don't know what it was, but they were also saying that those numbers probably
That
wouldn't be
includes-
correct.
That includes the ESSER funds.
Right.
Yeah, so
That's
anybody
the
that was
ESSER.
paid out of the East, that's why, when I did
Yeah.
that spreadsheet, I added those folks back on to give you the true,
Right.
like where we truly stood.
so are all those folks that we had in ESERF, are they all back on us now?
Yes, we will be as of the end of this month.
Okay, because it ends the end of September. So we really don't know numbers.
And so we'll do the certified list, it's due October 10th. So we'll have a better count for you come October 10th.
By the budget retreat.
By the budget retreat, yeah, and we have that on here to talk about, I think just the date that works for you guys. But yeah, we'll have a better understanding of where we currently are and then what we would potentially need to account for the loss of that senior class going forward.
So are the cooks that just, the example you use, get 4 boxes and just make it? Has someone worked with them?
So Becca met with that group after she found that out. She was over there doing some of her walkthroughs. And when she discovered that, she met with them later that week one morning and explained and offered retraining from the state. The state will actually come in and retrain on how to calculate your serving sizes and that kind of thing. So I haven't talked to her since then to see if she got that set up,
I don't know if she's starting to set up or not either.
but she'll be here next week, so we can talk a little bit about that, and she can,
And it may help to get them a little bit more training on that system, because I think
yes, that's a
kinda-
problem too.
yeah. is a problem with putting inventory in and what's been used in previous like there's a little disconnect there. I don't know that that's anybody's fault. I think that
Sure.
I think that system's a little quirky
Yeah.
too, and then just trying to figure it out.
Well,
And get it to work.
You're talking about their inventory that they maintain.
On that
Primero.
which is the state system.
They used to keep a big book where they could just print off a meal and access it that way. Now they have to put everything that they order in, and it keeps their inventory and tells them when they go to order more, oh, you already have 2 boxes of macaroni, you only need to order 2 more. But we've been told by the cooks, and I think it's been glitchy at times, that it'll lose something or miscalculates the number of servings that's in the box, so it doesn't give you an accurate number. So they'll end up with too much or too little. And that's one of the other things we thought that's probably factoring into our expenses is if we're ordering way more than we need. We ended up with extra fruit this week. We had a box of peaches they brought over because it was extra, and I don't know why. I never did. I just know that somebody said, yeah, we had extra peaches here. It's in the boardroom for somebody to take. I don't know all the reasons behind those problems, but
It'd be interesting to see the amount of inventory we keep on hand and all the freezers and all that stuff too, see what that is.
I think we're getting somewhere though. We've
Yeah, we
spent
are.
a lot, she and I spent a lot of time,
you know a lot about child nutrition that we did not know before.
trying to look at all the different angles and the different things going on and try to piece it together.
I do believe that we will lower our expenditures in child nutrition this year. I truly believe that we'll be in a better place next year than we were, just for the little things that we're doing. I think that'll be the case. You know, and I'll just tell you guys now that we can tell them that if a board member comes in to visit, they have to pay for their meal. So I apologize in advance.
We did.
One of the schools sent a thing over and said, we always feed board members if they come in. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, if they refuse to pay, let me know and I'll pay for it later. But, you know, we had that, you guys, somebody had maintenance guys on the list that when the maintenance guys come through, they'll let them eat. And we said, no, you can't do that. They had central office administrators. We said, no, you can't do that. Somebody had officers because we have town sheriff and state police troopers that'll stop by sometimes and they'll just all grab a tray. And they're like, well, we felt like we should feed them. And I said, I do too, but we can't because we just can't afford to do that. Because when you add it up, Sarah kept saying, it's a lot. And I'm like, it's not a lot, Sarah. She was like, I bet it's a lot. And I'm like, no. And then I did the math. And I was like, Sarah, you were so right.
I was
It
thinking
so
like a
much
year or
money.
so ago, we had eliminated all of that. There weren't that many free lunches going out.
Yeah, we thought that too. Until we actually put pen to paper and got lists of who do you need to feed, and it was significant.
and so the principals determine who can,
No, they sent us a list of who they thought should eat, why, what service they provided, and how frequent. And then we went through that list and said, yeah, you're right. The schedule doesn't allow for that person. For example, alternative ed teachers, they have to eat with their kids. There are certain kids that aren't allowed in the cafeteria. So those people, because we're not providing them with the mandatory and duty-free lunch, we're offering them a meal in exchange for that. And they're agreeing to take that meal. Now, if they said absolutely not, we'd have to find another teacher to give up their, you know what I mean? You got to find somebody to do it.
Same way with the pre-K.
Yes, I was going to say, same way with that pre-K, they have to eat with their kids breakfast and lunch. So we offer them that option of, do you want to get free meals and eat with them, or do you want us to give you the comp time at the end on that Friday to make up the difference? And most of them are taking the breakfast and lunch to eat with their kids. So those are the things that we have to factor in that are costing us money.
And hopefully that's the only ones that that's being allowed, not just the walk.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the charge for an adult meal?
$4.50.
No, okay, what about students? I've heard down $4.45.
We get reimbursed
That's
for
our reimbursement rate.
Is it the adult meal and the
Okay.
student meal's the same price, right? Yeah, same price, $3.50 for breakfast, $4.50 for lunch. Same price, same size. The serving sizes, if you're a student or if you're an adult, you get a tray, should be the same size.
Okay. Has anyone done any kind of a survey to see how much food is being left over and, it ordered in excess?
Well, it's supposed to be calculated at the end of every day by the cafeteria. They're supposed to put that in their system as to what they have left. And that Primero system is supposed to determine based upon that, how many you served, how much they ate. And then for the next time you would order it, it's supposed to calculate what you need.
What you need? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, do we have anything else on child nutrition? Anybody? Okay. How about student achievement recognition?
Yeah, so I have an update, one for everybody. I have an update for you on the summative assessment that our third through eighth graders take. This is a report that I believe you were interested in seeing. I'm going to try to explain it to you best I can. We have Bonnie Kreitz, who's our data specialist, who's going to be coming. She's actually working on compiling everything for a presentation for you guys, and we'll be at an October meeting. I think the next one, but I'm not 100% sure. She's working on this the end of September. But what I'm showing you here is you can see that first page shows you summative science, summative ELA, and summative math. So this is the overall county. And you'll see the percentages, and then as you had asked right below that, you'll see the number of students. So you'll see, for example, for science, 34% in the red did not meet the standard, and that's 96 kids. 127 kids are kids who are partial, who were working on it, almost there, but not quite green. And that would be the 127. The 48 kids were proficient mastery, and then you go to the 13 kids that are above and beyond that have exceeded mastery. Dixie, I think what you were talking about when you were talking about the kids, the bubble kids, the ones who were maybe almost there, I think that would be our yellow kids.
Oh,
If that makes sense.
absolutely.
Okay, I wanted to make
In
sure I
a
was reading
report
your
that
eyes.
we saw at our
Okay.
retreat was that the colors faded, and as it faded, they were on to the next
The next
bubble.
Yes.
And
Yes.
but the thing with this, and maybe it will be over in here that we can see, but like this, she has grades 5 and 8. Well, I'd like to see 5 separate and 8 separate. I want to see all the grades separately.
So that I have that for you. So if you turn the page, it gives you the ELPA summary, first of all. I gave you the overalls on the first 2 pages. So I also gave you our ELPA, which is the test, the proficiency test that our English language learners take. So you'll see all the grade levels that take that there, which is kindergarten through 11th grade. And that shows you 9 have met the standard, 74 are getting close, and then there's 32 that did not, which really isn't too bad. Then if you turn the page, it starts with math, and I start with 3rd grade math. So this is, in the bold print there, you'll see average score and performance summative grade 3 math, and it'll show you Moorfield Intermediate versus East Hardy Early Middle. They haven't changed that in the system to elementary yet. And then it'll give you the state and the district. And then as you go through, you can kind of tell, Moorfield Intermediate School 3rd grade math was 41%. East Hardy's 26%. The district's 36% and the state's 53%. So while we have been hard on our high schools because they definitely did not perform to the standard I think that we're capable of, I also think that our elementary classrooms aren't performing to what I would consider their best level either. A lot of counties, when I looked that were higher than us, had very, very high elementary scores. They had about the same as us in high school and middle because kids kind of drop off, and I think that's more the standard. But I think that our elementary level scores, 3rd through 5th, really could be improved with just a few little tweaks. I think our kids are capable, and I think our teachers are teaching, and I think maybe it comes back to how we're testing and maybe some of those strategies that we're using to help with that. Then you'll see 4th grade math. And you'll see the states, the districts comparison. 5th grade.
The district are our schools averaged.
Yes, district
Okay.
is Hardy County, and then the state is the top score. And it's the district's average for that grade level only.
Have we gotten in contact with Putnam County yet?
Yes, I spoke to their superintendent extensively, yes.
Good.
And I'll tell you what he said also. When you get to the 6th grade math, you'll see that we're actually higher than the state in 6th grade math. 7th grade math, Moorfield Middle.
Hold on here, you're saying we're higher, where are we higher?
Moorfield Middle.
Oh, okay, I see what you're talking about.
Yes, the district average is 32 and the state average is 30 for 6th grade. And you had Moorfield Middle 35.
Is that based on the same number of students or?
Well, you
Percentage-wise?
can see, no, you can see the numbers actually here of
Right.
students. So they had 33.
So the
we
percentage
had-
is really,
Relative, of course, to that number,
Yeah.
yep, for sure.
so it's, when you compare 36 to 40, that isn't quite.
Which one are you on?
Well, I'm just saying, if you take 33 students, 36% and 16,832, 40%, that percentage is off a little. I mean, the percentage is right, it just is misleading in a sense.
Yeah, it's just taking I guess the fewer kids you have, the more value each of those kids' scores will hold. If that makes sense. Smaller numbers, yeah, equate to the
Right.
bigger. When you get to the 7th grade math, 32, Moorfield Middle has 40% of their kids of their 106. The state's average is the 32% of the 17,000. And then East Hardy High Schools was 38. And we're getting a 7th grade math. 8th grade math really hit hard here with that group at East
Oh
Hardy.
my gosh.
They were 2%. One kid was beyond proficient, and we had 0 kids that were at mastery. And we had 17 that were in the yellow. So there's that for you. So that's a
That's scary.
target area, which that group would be 8th graders this year. Then you get to 3rd grade, we go to ELA now.
They would be 8th grade. No,
This
they'd
year's
be
8th
9th,
graders.
wouldn't they?
Was that 8th grade or
Yeah,
7th
this
grade?
is 8th grade.
8th grade, yeah, I'm sorry, that'll be our freshman.
Mhm.
Yep. ELA, 3rd grade, you can see the state average is 46%. Moorfield Intermediate is 46, East Hardy Elementary is 30. As a district, we're 41. 4th grade is below the state average there with their 35 and 32 separately. The district is 35. 5th grade ELA, the state's average is 45%. We're at 29 and 23. The 6th grade ELA for the state is 44. Moorfield Middle had 45 and East Hardy High had 48. And so we're above our district's above the state average there. 7th grade ELA, Moorfield Middle School had 62%, which is just fantastic. East Hardy High had 34%, giving us a 54% district and a 41% state. 8th grade ELA, there's the breakdown for that. 40% average for the state, 39 at Moorfield High, 40. It says Moorfield High, but it's Moorfield Middle. They just classify 7th and 8th grade under high. East Hardy High School's 30%, and the district 36. 5th grade science, the state average is 32, the district's is 16. And we have 17 and 16.
Not
And 8th
good.
grade, yeah, that would be the intermediate and the elementary school. And then for 8th grade science, which would be Moorfield Middle, the state's is 26, Moorfield Middle Schools would be 32, East Hardy's at 17, putting us at 27. So I hope that gives you a little bit better of a view as to what we're doing. Working on a program where we recognize our kids that have per grade level starting in third grade. When we take our benchmarks, the ones that show the most growth, we're having banners that we're going to go to the school and say, you've shown the most growth. We'll put this banner up in your hallway during this period of time. Third grade, fourth grade, all the way up through the 11th grade, trying to get them to compete a little bit amongst each other in county. Who wants the county's best of Hardy County recognition. I think that talking to the principals, the kids seem to respond well to knowing how everybody else is doing and giving, just kind of like, you always want to beat that team in sports. You want to score higher than them on these benchmarks and on these tests. And so I'm hoping maybe that will.
Can we get a copy of the county results? Do they have that out yet?
I'm sure I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get my.
Because I know Charles said Pendleton scores were good.
They were pretty good. Yeah, they were.
So the one we really need to look at are these third grade the third grade English and language arts numbers. And where the initiative that everybody's reading by grade 3. And this certainly doesn't show that.
Yeah, this is this assessment. The state does not use this to determine that. They use our benchmark scores, which are the star reading scores that we do. And when they just finished taking those tests, the benchmarks, like they just finished it last week. So when Bonnie gets together, what she'll do is put that presentation together for you and show you where we stand first test of the year. Now remember, it's going to be based upon end of year third grade, but it'll give you a good idea of where they're coming in and how much work we have to do before the year's out. So
one thing that many of the folks were talking about in the schools, because we did talk with a bunch of different people about what's been successful in their schools and all, and they were talking about using a tier system. You know how before we had kind of the kids that were a little higher, we'd have them in a class, and there's some people that kind of poo-pooed that, but I mean, I feel that we need to tier our kids somewhat, but they'd have tier 1 kids, and that's what the information everybody gets. And then with the tier 2 kids, they're ones that are falling behind, and they get some help.
yes.
And then the tier 3 kids are the ones that get intervention.
Yes, the tiered systems of support, it's called.
Right.
We had that at one,
DTSS.
Jennifer, we had that at one time, didn't we? The tiers?
We still do.
Okay.
That's
'Cause
what
I
our
remember
interventionists that we have do.
But
what were the people from Harper's Ferry?
The peer
Pearsons.
Yeah.
Piercy's, yes, Piercy's, yes.
Yeah.
But
Jimmy Buffett.
I think that what we need to do also are the kids that are in that tier. We've got to help those lower level kids to try to bring them up, but we need to, the students that are doing well and that catch on stuff, that are sitting in school and bored. We need to have some type of tier support for them where they are being pushed on, and not necessarily like gifted type stuff, but that are pushed on to their ability.
Yeah.
And
that is a system that we currently use. How well we do that, not 100% certain it's being utilized correctly in all places, but that is a system that we do use in the county.
but if you have all sorts of different ability level kids in the same classroom, and then you have an interventionist in the back that's helping someone, and there's all this distraction, I just I don't agree with it. I mean, we need to help these kids. We're hindering them. Plus, it's not their job to help the kids that have a tough time getting it. You know, it's not those kids' job.
It's a challenging thing to handle with having to also cut positions. We'll say it that way.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
It is hard to say, work with these individual kids, get them where they need to be, but we have to take, a teacher away from that grade level, so now you have 28 kids. Like, those are hard things to have to
Sure.
face, but,
But we aren't the only one in the state that's doing that at this time.
oh no, it's a necessary thing.
Exactly.
I mean, it just is, it's a bad place, it's a bad
Well,
place.
Clay County, remember Melvin?
Money makes a
Superintendent from
big
Clay, and
difference.
they're a small county.
So talking to
He had to go
Preston,
and kick butt.
they
He's a
they
loose
were about where we were test scores. Their test scores weren't good either.
Well, there another county doesn't have a levy.
Yeah, money. I was gonna say money. So when I talked to Preston, money plays a big factor into it.
Sure it does.
And for him, getting those resources, having the people, having the hands-on were the biggest piece that he said made the biggest difference for them.
Yeah.
Those
I'm
groups,
sure.
those small groups of kids pulling
I'm
out,
sure.
working with them, and people to do it.
But I would think that we'd be able to figure that out somehow. That part of their class period, even if they would switch and go, what are their class? I mean, at the elementary level, they really don't have class periods.
Right.
And I would think, remember when the math, what they did down here, that they were having such a terrible time with math, that if you were in the 4th grade and you were on second level math, that you went down to the 2nd grade.
I remember that, yeah.
And then you kind of worked your way up back to your class during that time. I mean, I'm kind of not for that, because that's really tough on the kids.
Yeah, I don't
And
think it
they're-
made any difference in the test scores either.
No, and it appears to me that there are enough students in a class that kind of don't get it, but might be on the bubble, that you could group them. And for a certain period of the class, they could go into a different area. I mean, not necessarily in the same room,
Yeah. People just become the problem. If you're gonna take them out, you have to have somebody that can go with them and work with
Supervise
them.
them and work.
We do that with our interventionists. I mean, we do have more interventionists now, I think, than we've had in a long time. But it's definitely a challenge. I know what you're saying.
could the interventionist maybe not stay? I mean, an interventionist is an interventionist. Maybe the interventionist needs to help with the kids that are maybe a little more advanced, plus the lower kids. I mean, who says the lower kids get it all?
Yeah, no, they can be scheduled to support any of those groups, for sure. Yeah. You're talking about accelerating
Mhm.
the other class. Yeah, for sure.
So we're not holding those kids back, that they're meeting some potential.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm for helping everybody, but I just think we need to, it's like we're beating our head against the wall. You work with this one, and so this one's not successful.
Are we saying that those kids who are on the higher tier would not qualify for gifted help rather than having to rely on an interventionist? Do none of those kids qualify as gifted, I guess is what I'm asking.
The gifted qualifications are completely separate from standardized testing.
Okay,
Yeah, so I'm not saying that those kids aren't in gifted. I'm sure some of them are, but it's a completely separate qualification process.
I see, okay, thanks.
But with the parameters that they have, what did they tell us, Janet, that for gifted, the kids had to have an IQ of 142 or something like that?
It's a varying combination, but I think it's 126 is the
It's not
lowest,
that high
but it's a
anymore.
combination between math and verbal reasoning, different areas.
I mean, maybe we could use the gifted teacher.
Well, he's only half-time.
Well, but maybe we need to look at that program and that it's not really gifted, it is advanced. And they would work with more people.
Yeah.
You know, they say there's not gifted people. Okay, well, we'll work with the ones that are down below gifted and help them.
I'll look at his schedule and see what he has.
What was it? There wasn't a single soul in the gifted program in the 3rd grade
I actually don't remember.
in the
I have to
county?
look at it.
I
Yeah.
thought I remember one gifted in the whole county.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, there are more than gifted, more than one.
Unless you meant 3rd grade.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, why would that person get a one-on-one teacher?
Yeah.
When you have 20 kids that can be moved ahead that are getting zip.
I'll check the schedule out. and see
Yeah,
what's
it's
going
it's
on.
not right. Something's wrong. And these, what is with this 3rd grade reading initiative?
Mhm.
Are you going to be hearing any more about that this year, or
Have you heard
because
anything?
of the tests, is that riding off into the sunset with Tonto?
It's not
Yeah.
riding off into the sunset. I will just say that the state is depending on, they are doing trainings when we do science of reading things. Like we went to, I don't know, on the 5th and 6th, we did reading and math. Department of Ed will do regional trainings and we take our team. And then our team is supposed to go out and do it all, train all our teachers.
Yeah.
When we don't have the, we
Train the
can do
trainer
this.
and
We
then
have
they-
great train the trainer people trained within our county. What we need is to have additional time to put hands on our schools and our teachers with our teams to be able to share this information, model the best practices, and work with each other. That's what we would need. That's how the state is helping with support at this point in time.
Wouldn't that be considered professional development
It is.
Mhm. Yeah, it is.
We would
and be
need,
counted as professional development? You would need subs, of course, to
we would need days without kids in the building to be able to hit all the pre-K to 5 teachers and hit them unilaterally versus just in little pockets. That's what we need. We need days without kids to be able to work with everybody and with the administrators, because the administrators have to be on board with this. And we have, what we're doing in our county is we have this Friday, people from the state. Well, Derek Lambert's coming and Amanda Rugeman will be there with our science of reading team, and the K-3 principals, pre-K-3 principals will be trained. Even though they've done the sessions that we do when we have professional learning days here, we're going to walk through. I mean, they've been given this information, but I realize how it is. They've not put their fingers on it. They're going to be trained on the look fors for the science of reading in the classrooms here from 9 to 11:30. We're doing that. We need time. We need
so there
time with
won't
our
be
people.
students in the building.
Oh, there
then?
are students in the building. We're getting a sub for the science of reading team to be here, the 8 teachers to be out of their classrooms, and we're getting the principals into the board office as well at that point in time. Kids are in the building. Yes.
That's just for administrators.
This is for the administrators, because if the principals don't know what they're looking for and how to support, then we're kind of like, you're just like not doing much. They're not on board and helping and doing and able to support their teachers. And it also ties back into, I know a lot of people grumbled about us doing all this letters training stuff before the state started with science of reading. But what we're doing with letters is science of reading. And we're doing sessions after school, stipending teachers who are doing the letters and science of reading work with Lauren and Shanda doing it as our facilitators for letters and science of reading. we're doing it that way. We're doing it on professional learning days, but really we need days without kids in the building for pre-K to 5 people to do this versus just Dixie, I'm gonna give you this stuff. Okay, we have 3 hours now. Boom, you do it in your classroom.
And the problem is the way
That's-
the calendar is, we've got every day scheduled and we just can't, you have to have kids for the 180, so you just can't say, we're not bringing them in next week to do that.
And if you hear grumbles, one thing that we did this year with the additional time built in was we have these half-day early dismissals to do additional time for teachers to get together to do these sessions to try to train, because we really need more time.
So that's what our time's gonna be used for, not snow days.
So
Both.
We have enough
Both.
bank time to get our 5 free snow days, and we have some additional on top of that. So
Yes.
anything we do half days outside of what the calendar has built into it, which is just a couple of them, comes off of
Right.
the bank time amount.
Trying
So we're on
to
that.
get additional time to be able to work
Yeah.
together. And we're also have to do math. Smile. And social emotional. And what else? Oh, and use your data teaming to, work in your teams. And yeah, those are the big things.
Well, definitely the state keeps bringing out new programs to try to have the students be successful with their curriculum. And that's a difficult thing, but I think that the letters was really positive. Or
It is now.
It appeared to be.
It is now. The aides in the classrooms that are coming up through 3rd grade, that's tied in with this 3rd grade Success Act. And that is a major positive, major support and help.
And so we have aides in the 3rd grade this year.
Not yet.
Next year. Kindergarten, pre-K, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd was this year.
So it's next
3rd grade
year
comes
that
next
they'll,
year.
so that's, how many 3rd grade classes do we have countywide?
6, 7.
So that'll be
So it'll depend on
more-
numbers.
7 more people?
Yeah, but they pay us for them.
Yeah, those are
Well, but it doesn't make-
legislatively.
I mean,
funded.
I
Yeah.
understand that, but when they quit paying us for them, then there are those folks that, okay, all of a sudden now
We have
they're
these-
on our payroll.
The way that the law is written, they fund us for those based upon the so many as long as we have more than 20 kids in a classroom, we get all of them funded. So we always have our classrooms full. Counties can lose money if it's a low number of kids in classrooms and they have multiple classes with small numbers in it. But the way we maximize our class size, we always get all those aides paid for.
Okay,
So
well,
we're-
that's good.
Yeah.
Hats off.
So you have a block of 25 they fund up,
Yes.
so I understand.
Yeah, as long as you get those filled up, you're good. And we always do, so we're good shape on that end.
Okay. Well, it's certainly interesting information. You have
We had any
anything?
public comments, did we?
Yeah, there were no public comments. So we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? I think some of these invoices, there was something and, I think these,
I had one, page 28, there was a 3-ton HVAC unit for, what's the weight room? Has that been installed or who's installing that?
Don't believe it's been installed yet, but it would be installed. I don't know the answer to that, Melvin. I apologize. I know it went out and we had to replace it, but I don't know.
And then when we put in Tony's, it's new stuff,
Yes, to keep the server really cool. Yes.
we installed that on the
Yes,
Or Panhandle.
Panhandle installed that one. Panhandle installed that one. Because it took more than one person.
Did, okay, I see where I had a question, and I'm sorry it seems like that I'm fussing, and I guess I am a little bit, but honest to goodness, I'm proud of Hardy County Schools. I'm proud of the job everyone does. I truly do. And my heart just wants us to do better.
Mine too.
You know, it just wants us to do better. I see on page 23, we have all these Franklin Covey things of the leader in me. And I'm sure that you all probably discussed it before, and my mind was somewhere else. And what's the mission of Leader in Me?
It's a student leadership based social emotional program for entire school improvement. I'm sure they have a specific mission statement. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. You'll remember you were at East Hardy Elementary.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that was.
That's the program and how it works. It's very student led. It's to build confidence.
Oh,
leadership.
and you can see that it
Advocacy.
does that.
Goal
to
setting.
change the overall culture of your building.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to add Moorfield Elementary, Moorfield Intermediate to that, and we actually received a grant. Do you remember how much it was towards the top?
11,000, something like that.
It's more than 11,000
Okay.
overall. Yeah. It's like
And when did we add more MIS and MES?
just this year.
Just this year. So they've not had any of that.
They had their first training the week that the staff returned to school. Now if you remember back when I was a principal, Moorfield Elementary and Moorfield Intermediate School did the initial Leader in Me stuff way back when. But that's been, this is my 8th year here in this
Then it
position,
kind
so.
of was let go.
And a lot of new people have come and taken over.
That hadn't really
classrooms
bought
and did
into it.
Yeah, so they did their initial training in those other 2 schools that week.
And so we do Leader in Me up to what grade?
Up through 5th grade
Okay.
at Moorfield schools and through 6th grade at East Hardy because they're
Because they're there.
6th grade.
Okay. Because I didn't think that anybody did it in the higher grades.
No, and they do offer middle and high school programs, but we figured we'd better get them at least adapted and make sure it's something we can afford to sustain here with these.
Yeah, because these invoices here are $66,441.54.
Yeah, and it's a lot of
Money.
It's a lot of training. It's a lot of resources. We did the online platform so that they could access everything that way. And then it comes with lots of books and bits and pieces that come with it.
And that's an annual cost.
It goes down each year. After the first 3 years, the goal is to just be sustaining, and then you can keep in as part of it.
How much does
At
it go down each year?
To which I don't have any of that in front of me. It
Yeah,
goes down
because
probably 10,000 a year, if not more.
If those 2 schools that we've
I
added
don't
in,
remember the details.
so that's gonna be 3 years where we're getting hit really hard for that.
Yeah.
And
The initial purchase, I think the thing you'll pay for each year will be the continued site license to get them access to all the materials online. Once you've purchased the books, once you've purchased the posters, like the classroom sets, those things we now own. So I wanted to say the total cost was like $152 or something for the initial year. I think you'll be well below that moving for the next 2 years. And then of course we reevaluate, but that grant we get pays for some of that each of the years.
The grant comes directly off of what
What we pay.
Yeah, it originally would be like 2.
I can't remember what it was. I
It's a
can't
grant
remember
through
what it was
Franklin
on the
Covey
invoice. Yeah.
that we apply.
I'm gonna chime in and say with what we saw at East Hardy Elementary last year, it's money well spent as far as boosting these kids individually and socially and giving them confidence and I thought it was great.
Yeah, I agree with you, Janet. It does. But I just wanted to know what all we kind of got with that, what bang for our buck that we're getting. And honestly, the social emotional is good, really
It's
good.
vitally important.
We
Absolutely.
also didn't replace the previous social emotional curriculum
Correct.
that we were using at those schools as well.
Okay.
So we were purchasing a curriculum that the state requires you to purchase a curriculum. You have to have
You have to do
something.
something.
We stopped buying that
Yeah.
and went.
Well, this is probably,
It's still more
better.
expensive, but it's by far better.
yeah,
It's a good program, no doubt.
yeah. Well, those Franklin Covey.
When we visit the other schools, how they have picked up on it.
Oh, absolutely. And the
Me too.
Franklin Covey people really have a thing, don't
I
they?
do. Yeah, it's pretty special.
They, because wasn't the Franklin Covey, didn't they have a thing where they teach people to manage a classroom and,
They have lots of different bits and pieces they offer, I think.
okay,
Their leadership, yeah,
yeah,
and professional to students. Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, are we ready to vote? All those in favor of the consent items signify by saying aye. Opposed? And they're approved 5-0. Next, we go to unfinished business. The budget update is number 5, attachment 5. Sarah?
The expenditure by object for, through August 31st. The salaries are not encumbered yet. I hope to get that done before we close out September. And get all of those encumbered there so you can see what we're looking at. The other expenditures are similar to what we've had in the past. If you look at the second column total for FY25 and then the final column for FY24, you can see that it's up a little bit, but with the increase in salaries and stuff, that's probably to be expected, but, and the timing of when some things are paid, so I don't think we're off too much there. Do you have a question?
Well, I was looking at the negative ones. I know that under Object 200, the tuition reimbursement was because we had more people. I'm assuming that that's Eastern. Is that?
Yeah, and a lot of times when we encumber something, we bump it up a little bit higher than we may actually need it to be at. Just to make sure that we don't have the opposite happen where we're not accounting for, it doesn't go way up and we don't have it accounted for in some form or manner.
Well, and then we come down to water and sewage, and we're in the hole there, or there's, and what are you going to put in there? How are you going to zero that out?
Well, if the encumbrances are true, then we would take out of the reserve that we have at the bottom, the 766,000, which is going to increase from the financial statements. The fund balance was a little bit higher than what we had originally projected.
Okay.
So that would cover that. But there's always going to be, and that's why it's so hard with the encumbrances, because a lot of that stuff that's in there encumbered won't even be spent because someone will decide that they don't want to even do that. So that encumbrance gets closed. But with the utilities, with the water and stuff, we usually just buffer it some. If it was 75,000 last year, we try to make it 80,000. And Barbie may have just bumped it up a little bit more than I did when I did the budget to cover it. We did have an extra one that came the other day, and we were calling to find out about it. We were charged something additional at Moorfield Middle, I believe, on the water and sewer. but we hadn't been charged before. And Josh came in and we actually had him, he called Logan and Logan was gonna get back. Now, I don't know whether Logan got back to him. about
Is that
or
where
not.
he was talking that we just got a sewer bill and no water bill?
Maybe.
I think it was Smithfield
Mm-hmm.
Field House or something.
Is
Yeah.
that what did he tell you what it was? It was just one that we never had before. Like I went back through like 2016 and it had been the same, because it's on one of those where it's just average. Like, and it had been the same, like then, and then all of a sudden that one had come. Now, it wouldn't have made that difference there. But we were
And-
calling to check one.
How about the insurance?
That will come down. That encumbrance wouldn't be true there because we always buffer it up and our insurance actually came in lower. So once that encumbrance gets paid and cleared out there, it shouldn't be over.
Okay. And we know about bus replacement. We know that that was gonna be there, so.
Yeah, and overall, that one's not over either because you had a carryover from the prior year that's not in here yet because the prior year hasn't been carried forward.
Yeah, hadn't been closed out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we actually had, I think it was like 50-some thousand left in bus replacement. So once that gets moved there, it
Okay,
actually won't be in the negative,
okay.
if that makes sense.
What's the percentage of the reserve you have to maintain?
3%, I believe,
3%,
is what they require, and they're like 5%.
right,
We're over that.
3%.
We're over what they, I think we were over 5%.
Yeah, people were talking about their reserve funds. It's like, oh my,
And I can't remember when I did the budget, if I did the 1.75 or if I bumped it up to the 2 million, but we're above that, both of those. So when I pull the prior year forward, that will bump the reserve up as well.
but isn't that reserve all spent?
Depends on how you look. I mean, there's pieces of it that we have,
The lights,
well, the lights are included in here. It's under equipment. So the light payments included prior to that. The main thing that we have, that we'll need to look at in the reserve is paying for Moorfield Middle School. We allocated $500,000.
the
To
500,000.
Moorfield Middle School for the roof
Roof,
and the
mhm.
HVAC system. Now, a portion of that we've already paid because we made some of those payments I think we started in March. And each one of those payments, they break down our percent versus the SBA's percent. So
Someone's due buggy. Or someone sitting there.
it hasn't been huge, but we have paid some of that, so it wouldn't be a full 500,000. Also, the cost, from what they had estimated had come down some, so what the SBA matches versus what we match will decrease in that percent too, if that makes sense.
Okay,
But we do have that amount, whether it's all paid during this upcoming year or it's over, course of however, I'm not sure what exactly their time frame is on completing that project. But we do need to keep in mind that we have a chunk there that, we've already agreed to do.
mm-hmm,
And I had some of that noted here, when we talked about the financial statements and then, the payroll that we had paid out at Easter to look at as well. When we look at the financials there.
And the truck also, did you figure anything in there that, or commitment that we've made to that when the
No.
project starts?
I did not.
so that's,
10,000 per year,
No, not 10,000 a year, right?
10,000 a year.
Well, it's 10,000 months for 10 months.
Oh, no, 10,000 a year for 10 years. 0% interest. 10,000 a year for 10 years. For real.
Yeah.
We were gonna.
Yeah, because Pendleton
it's
gave us the
0%
0%
so we
interest
could-
loan,
We can make it, yeah.
so we didn't have to give
Right.
such a big chunk up front. Where are we on? Have
We're,
they-
we're waiting because they're trying to
Okay, I didn't
figure
know
out
if
if they're
they
gonna
had
be able to
come
finish
back
their
with
piece.
anything
We haven't
else.
signed anything with Pendleton. They said to call when we were ready to move forward, but
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was,
they ran into some drainage issues and.
didn't know where they were on checking all that out, so.
They did, I ran into Steve Snyder and he said that the depth of the asphalt wasn't as big a problem as what he thought it was, where they did the 4 core samples that wherever they had done them, that it was really thin, but it was between 2 and 3 inches.
Everywhere else,
So that's, I mean,
That's
I
good
thought
news.
that was good news.
that is good news.
You know, that would kind of offset maybe some of the drainage issues.
That is good news.
Okay, so, next is approval of the Board of Education Transportation Employees Alcohol and Controlled Substance Policy, GBV, which is attachment 6.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and it approves 5-0. And approval of transfer of Baker Park deed.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this deed. Any discussion?
I assume you'll be getting the deed to be signed, if you could have that by October 1st, I can get it to the commission.
Okay. I just needed the board minutes showing the approval, so once we have that, I'll let her know and you'll get it.
Okay,
You'll take it.
Sure, I'll copy it, if that's okay.
sure it is. All those in favor, oh, we already voted on it. I was gonna vote the second time,
No, we
I'm
didn't vote
sorry.
on it. We haven't voted.
Oh, we haven't? Okay. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it's approved 5-0. Is Mom still there?
Mhm.
Okay. I just haven't been
Yeah.
hearing her. Okay, next we go down to new business and, approval of fiscal year ending 2024 financial statements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is that what this handout is we got tonight?
Mine, did I hand it out? Yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Do you want to maybe,
Do I have to wait?
what?
Go over it now? Okay. Well, I thought there was I thought somebody had to, I thought oh, okay. Y'all still trick me with this approvals. I believe, good draws again, then, is it the statement of revenues and expenditures, is that what's on top?
Some changes.
Yeah, okay, all right. So this is, by column, general fund is in the first column, fund 61, 65, 71, 21, and 31, you can see there. Fund 11 is our general fund current expenditures. It shows the revenues that we receive there in property tax, local sources, state sources, federal sources, and miscellaneous sources, which we didn't have any miscellaneous. It also shows our expenditures down below that, as well as any transfers in and out from the different accounts. And then it shows our net change in fund balance. We actually ended in the good, $677,000, $677,648. Added to our fund balance that we carried forward from the prior year. And our current fund balance is $3,047,460. In our general fund account, it's not regulated, restricted, or held for some other reason. And that's usually the account that we look at
Yeah, so that is more than what you thought it was gonna be.
That's more than what I thought it was gonna be. If you look at the next page, it has the balance sheet on there. In the first column for the general fund, it goes through like the cash and the taxes receivable, all that. If you look down at the bottom under fund balance, it'll show, currently for June 30th, our non-spendable was $74,842. Last year, that was $85,986. The non-spendable is what we paid in June for our current year, workers' comp insurance. So we've actually got that expense to go down a little bit, working on some of our procedures there and claims. And 2 years ago, we switched to Travelers, and been working with them. But that's that portion of the fund balance has already been spent for this current year. So it's non-spendable. Restricted there shows $43,285. Last year it was $84,464, but that included the Webster scholarship and the Maxwell. We gave the Webster scholarship over, and now the 43,000 just includes the Maxwell, so that's restricted for that purpose only. The assigned amount is $368,000 this year. It was right around $200,000 last year. Assigned is stuff that's not necessarily restricted, but it comes to us, like tech funds from the state that's for textbooks, or instruction, or, CTE that comes in Fund 11, for middle school, other things like that that's kind of set aside for specific things in Fund 11. And then our unassigned is $2,560,000. Last year it was just over $2 million. It was like $2,001,215. So our unassigned that I usually consider, they are not restricted or not set aside for any purposes, is a little over 2.5 million. And we estimated around 2. So that was moving some expenditures over into Easter funds and trying to swap things out, and yeah, but we had we talked about the amount that we've allocated or set aside for the project at Moorfield Middle School. Last year in Easter funds, the payroll that we had in there was right around $1 million. When you took into consideration the payroll taxes, the insurance, the retirement, all of that we pay on payroll, around 75,000 of that was after school and summer school, which would not be a continual thing, but you could still, you're looking at 900 to 950,000 in there that the general fund will be taking back, or will be coming back over into the general fund at the end of this month. I think we are down 3 or 4 positions from where we were at the end of the year that we did not replace. And hopefully the funding, if the enrollment sticks, will at least be up a couple positions when they issue. If enrollment goes up, they'll issue that additional funding in December. And also that should allow us to apply for additional bus allowance money as well, being up in enrollment. So we have tried to look at expenses. I think, last year we were flipped the other way. The expenditures were actually more at the end of the year than the revenues. So that's a good thing. We have, Sheena's looked at some of those expenditures, and we've been paying closer attention to things and looking at things that are necessary to do versus not necessary.
Wants and needs.
Wants and needs. It would be nice to be able to do all the wants and all the things, but cutting back on some of those and looking at things and trying to make it work.
So we're giving Baker Park over to the county. Has a figure been assigned to that will come out of I know it won't come out until this year, but wouldn't that bring our assets down?
I'm not even sure.
I mean, maybe it was never in there.
I don't think it was ever.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure it's in
Because
there.
nobody knew who was the deed holder until we started researching it.
Okay. Well, that works out real well.
It's another piece of property we don't get taxes from.
Yeah,
And it actually wouldn't come out of here anyway, because this is just the cash basis. It
okay.
doesn't include the accrual of the equipment depreciation and all that.
We did drive over and look at the property behind Northwood Elementary School and over and behind Summit again, and discussed maybe timbering it first, getting that little bit of money out of that, and then maybe seeing if we wanted to sell that property off as river lots. And just going ahead and getting the cash, selling it just to bank cash on that end. So that's something you guys can think about. If
What
you
was
wanna
that
drive
acreage
down
you
there.
remember?
16 acres.
You don't want that in the paper, do you?
And that doesn't matter at this point. I think that's something that we'd have to do a sealed bid, I know, eventually on it, and have to involve, some surveying and that kind of thing. But I do think it's worth thinking about. It's really growing up down in there. It's not something that we take great care of as part of our property. We could never build down there because it's in the floodplain. And we walked down, Sarah and Josh and I, and you can get right down to where you could see the river. It would be beautiful river lots we could probably sell and get some money out of.
My husband used to rabbit hunt over there all the time. I mean, when he was a little fella, his mom and dad, let him go over there with his gun and rabbit hunt, and he'd fish.
You can buy the river lot.
Yeah, a little memory maker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that. We'll put it on a future agenda item to really discuss, but I really do think that would be it's not serving us any purpose right now.
I think it'd be a good idea to get it cleaned up either way, because it's, people, could be back there without.
We had some
Liability.
folks camping down in there that we had to
You
get
can't really
removed.
see
and
through it, like it,
You have any no trespassing signs on it?
How are they
We
getting?
don't.
How are they getting right away into there?
Well, the folks that were camping were, I believe, homeless folks that had just traveled by foot down along. I don't know if they entered in back by the bank or across the bank. I'm not sure how they got in there, but Austin did go down and have them clean their stuff up and move. But it has the potential to be a problem, I think, if we don't get it cleaned out and have somebody keep a better eye on it.
Do we have our own right of way back across that? I
We do.
thought we did,
Yeah,
right there at the
right by
side.
elementary school, yeah,
Mhm.
right back there. And I think if we sold it, we would want to put a fence line up for sure, to kind of create a distance between whoever's going to be down in there from our elementary school.
Oh,
So there's plenty
absolutely.
of space to do that. So, just a thought.
Anybody have anything else on this? So, we don't need to approve this, do we? Or yes, we need to? Okay, so we do have a motion and a second already. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next is, board member superintendent discussion. And we have proclamation for West Virginia School Service Personnel Day, September 19th.
So we have a proclamation by Governor Jim Justice. If you all are okay, I'll just go ahead and read that for the record. Whereas school service personnel are involved in nearly every aspect of education by maintaining buildings and grounds, preparing and serving meals, keeping school facilities clean and orderly, and assisting in the classroom, as well as providing administrative support functions, safe transportation, and many other specialized services. And whereas school service personnel are instrumental in West Virginia's responsibility to educate all students. And whereas these dedicated individuals serve the children of West Virginia in our public education system. and have an important role of non-instructional service to the education system. And whereas it is fitting we recognize the outstanding work these individuals do for this state, their communities, and the students enrolled in West Virginia schools. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Jim Justice, Governor of the great state of West Virginia, do hereby proclaim September 19th, 2024 as West Virginia School Service Personnel Day in the Mountain State, and encourage all citizens to join me in this observance. In witness that wherefore I have hereunto set my hand and caused the great seal of the state of West Virginia be affixed. Done at the Capitol, City of Charleston, State of West Virginia, this 30th day of July in the year of our Lord, 2024, and in the 162nd year of the state. So we wanted to share that because our service personnel are surely important, very valuable members of our school community. And I also had for you that I passed around the homeschool numbers that you had asked for, and that was broken down. She gave you the February numbers and then the September 12th numbers per school, per side of the county rather, and then gave you the Hope Scholarship students. And you will see that we are down 3 kids overall from last year to this year. There's been a little bit of a shuffle, but we picked up a lot of Hope Scholarship kids this year.
Why are there so many more on the east side than the west side? Significant, I mean, there's more, the student population is what, half?
Yeah. I'm not really sure. I don't know the answer to that question. I could make some guesses, but they would be uneducated, so I won't do that.
But that's a big number.
Yeah. Well, I wonder with the Hope Scholarship, is that the new academy that the church there in Northfield?
That would be the reason why some of the numbers have increased, because those students are accessing the Hope Scholarship to attend that. But anyone that attended for 45 days in public school could apply for that Hope Scholarship. And I believe it's $4,000, $4,500 that they can get to pay for educational expenses, and they're using, some of them are using that for the.
Yeah, because I saw a sheet advertising it. It was posted in EHHS, and it said that their Hope Scholarship money would cover their tuition.
Yeah, and it does. And I will tell you though, we've had a handful of those kids also come back and do our virtual program. So kids that are attending the church program that they're having have also, that aren't getting the Hope Scholarship, have also signed up to be Hardy County School virtual kids, and they're doing both. Stephanie Simmons has done a really nice job of reaching out and working with those kids and kind of getting them to come back in. So we've added a few of those in the last couple of weeks, which is a nice start. Well, they can't get the Hope Scholarship and be our student, but some of them that were not getting that have been on. And I think that's everything I had. Yes.
I have a couple things. Last meeting I asked about the parking lot lights here. To date, they're still coming on early, 5 o'clock or so in Vernon.
Okay.
It's been 2 weeks and they were supposed to be checked and fixed by that time.
And I did check on that and was told that Hayden did check them and they were fixed.
Well, they are not fixed. As you look at them, they've been on for a long time.
Okay, yeah, I didn't look to see when they came on, but I will follow up with that then. I apologize, I was told otherwise.
The MES building, did the fellow ever show us to look at that?
Yes, he did, and he got the keys, I believe, was it Friday, the installation? They were taking the metal down, the installation has already been scheduled, and then he would be right back in. So yeah, it's actively working right now.
Moving on anyway.
Yes, for sure.
The, couple weeks ago, I saw a bill, we paid $300. I know this is just pennies, but pennies adds up to dollars, for $300 to redo the mulch at the schools. Was that to replace mulch, just pull weeds out of the mulch, or what was that?
I would imagine it's what we paid, the additional we would pay our mowing.
Right, but I'm
I'll
saying,
tell you
what
that.
does it,
I don't know what they did. Typically what that is for them to replace it and pull the weeds. I think pull the weeds is a more frequent thing, but they were supposed to do that right before school started. They were supposed to add
Whoever
mulch.
signed off on the bill, we want to go check it.
Okay. Do you remember which school it was?
Woodfield High, so I think that's the only two that's done, is it? Woodfield High and Woodfield Elementary.
Okay.
And Dixie was talking about, watching the board videos and all that, and that link is so hard to find. The average person, I don't think will ever be able to find that. Is there some way that can be
Yeah.
easily accessible for anybody who wants to click on it and look at it?
Yeah, so I think that it's supposed to be, Sean was saying Jessica was working on it earlier, was supposed to have the most current one pinned at the top. Everything else, you just have to look at the dates in order, and it goes from the first one we did all the way down. I'm not sure if she can flip those, where the most recent one's at the top, but I'll have her go into the YouTube site and see if there's a way to
And just so
reset
it's
it.
visible, like I said, every person
Yeah.
will click on our website, I don't think they'd ever find it.
Could
Okay,
that be put on the homepage?
we can, if that's what you guys want it.
Just some places it can be found, because the State Department is definitely watching them.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a couple counties already that they've,
Been called out.
right,
Okay.
so I think we need to stay current on that.
Yeah, I had a bit of a time finding it,
Yeah,
but I persevered.
and this is kind of nitpicking, when we got in the truck to leave the other day, we had to stop in town to fill up the
I'm
gas.
so sorry. I've already addressed that,
Okay.
and it is unacceptable, and I apologize. I should have just checked myself to make sure.
Well, you shouldn't have to check
I
yourself.
shouldn't, but obviously I should
No.
have, but I apologize for
That's
that.
why we have two people in that position to take care of things like that.
Yeah, I'll make sure that next time it'll certainly be taken care of.
Thank you.
My apologies.
No apology from you is needed.
Well, I'm still responsible, so.
I think that's all I have, I believe. Other than our training, it's one of those deals you get out what you put in it. You know, the people we talked to, we got as much out of it, some of it,
More.
but it was still good. It was worthwhile. I think there was a lot of little things we picked up here and there that was well worth going.
It was more for newly elected board members that they reviewed stuff. Review never hurts any of us. Because you always pick up something, but it certainly doesn't grab your attention like something that you're normally interested in.
Well, I don't know why on the session on Friday, why they don't start it at 9 or 8:30 instead of doing that damn evening session. Because most of the people left.
Yeah, they're,
We stayed. Now, we were there.
Stay until 9 at night.
Yeah, that just makes, they
I
have,
agree, instead of going.
They start like
at
11
Start
at lunchtime,
8,
and it goes on to
the night
8:30
before.
instead of
I
starting
think
at
they try to
One
keep
clean.
people from having, I think they want people to be able to travel on Friday
You can-
and not have to
you know,
take off
you
each
get your
Charleston
cranberry
Thursday.
done
I
on
think it's their
down.
excuse, like they think
Don't
you
waste
don't have to
money.
miss 2 days of work,
It
you only
is.
have to miss Friday.
yeah.
If they're not staying for it, kind of defeats the purpose.
Well, and it gives
Shit
the
on your butt.
executive board,
Your brain stops.
time
That's what I'm
to
saying.
Getting there.
meet on that Friday morning,
now.
because that's when they meet.
Yes, that's true. They could always meet Friday evening,
Sure.
do it the other way. I agree.
Melvin, did you bring, handouts back for me?
I did. I didn't bring them tonight. I didn't realize Jennifer was going tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I will
We'll
get
just
that, I'll get that to you as quick as I can.
We'll get them to her and they'll get to me and I have plenty of time to read it.
Good deal. If nothing else, I'll bring them to you.
Oh, okay, thank you. No, she's coming. She'll get them to me.
Okay,
Thank you.
my pleasure.
Okay. So future agenda items?
So here's the big question. Do we want to miss hunting on the 15th or the 22nd, Mr. Hines?
Hmm?
I can get the,
I'll be there. Both of them same season. Are they Thursdays?
They're Fridays.
Fridays.
And I can get, you got me wondering, hold on.
I can't be here the 15th.
Okay. I could get the lake house on the 15th. If we wanted to go there again, I cannot get it on the 22nd, which is totally fine. We can pick a different spot. Whatever you guys want to do then on.
I can't do the 15th.
You can't? Okay. So then the 22nd, does that work for everyone?
Or is there a day other than Friday? Is there a better
Yeah, or
day?
if you prefer
It
a
doesn't
different day
matter.
than Friday, that's okay too.
No, 22nd.
How about
That's the first Friday.
earlier in November?
We can't do it earlier because for Sarah to have all of the things that she needs.
Okay,
I'm just
sure.
trying to
Oh,
rush
sure, that would
Because
really,
the rest of all this GASB stuff with the financials will be due at the end of this month. And the certified list is due the
Yeah.
10th, then I leave for a week for ASBO. But it just
Okay.
pushes me having enough time to get
We want to get you everything.
it ready for you guys and have everything. in
sure.
detail.
Let's just do it
Um,
22nd at the
22nd 's
board
good.
office.
I mean, earlier in the
22nd.
week of the 15th would be fine. It's just last year, I think it was like the 6th or 7th, and that kind of pushed me a little bit, but,
Okay.
you know, if it was a couple
We
days
want to
before-
start it then, if you're gonna do it the
Fellowship,
22nd at the
start
board
that.
office, you want to start it that morning at 9, 8:30? 8:30? 8? Not 5.
I say, yeah, we can get up at 4. So.
Yeah.
I know these guys get up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the
What
morning.
time would you like to start?
8 at the latest.
8's good. Let's do it.
Get her done.
I'm thinking 5 would be better, Mr. Harper.
You guys.
You guys can
coffee.
start.
Bring the coffee.
I might come in my pajamas,
Yeah, I don't want to.
at 5
5
o'clock.
o'clock. 6 I can
Oh,
do.
that's the best time of the day. That's, then the sun comes up.
Anybody need anything else from me?
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Remember, you always look better
Thanks,
than blue
Sarah.
and
Not
gold.
Blue and gold, blue and gold.
Green and gold, green and gold.
Bye, Sarah. Thank you.
Drive safe. Watch out for the deer. They're bad. They're bad.
Oh,
Yeah, they're worse than.
from my house last night.
Yeah.
And then we poured a cow, so
Someone hit.
a cow, yeah.
Really? That farmer's got a bill to pay.
Mm-hmm. Been there and done that.
Okay,
That orange,
Rena.
oh yeah,
Let me do this.
that doesn't surprise me.
under
You know,
mission statements, accomplishments.
Announcements.
Announcements.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Our next board meeting will be October 7th beginning at 5 o'clock, and we will meet at the Board of Education office.
and Sheena said about doing the training for
4.
Mhm.
so we can drive the
Yeah, I'm not gonna drive
county vehicle.
them, so I won't come.
You can't
Just
drop
stay-
anything at all for any reason if you don't come. And I don't care. That's fine. I just want to make sure you know. Or use P card.
Or use a P card.
Yeah.
Well, I probably ought to come then, so at
We'll
4
have to buy
o'clock.
gas somehow.
We did good on the way back. We got it at, what was it, 2.8 to 2,
Under 3,
Yeah.
wow.
at
It's
Flatwood.
pretty good. It's really rare to hear.
Okay, so mission statements, accomplishments.
Well, I'm like Melvin and Dixie. Actually, some of it was good. Some of it was boring as all get out. And especially the evening, but we learned more by talking to other board members than we did really from, the others, but it was worthwhile.
It was a good trip.
Did both of our football team
Lost.
lost, but
West Virginia lost.
you know, we're still hopeful. We're still hopeful.
Supportive anyway.
Yeah. So. And I don't know how the volleyball teams are doing.
I think he started still pretty well.
I haven't that I marked in my calendar. I want to go to a couple football games and a couple volleyball games. So I'll mark them down so I wouldn't forget to go. Yeah. Okay, so are we ready for personnel? Do we need an executive session for personnel or anything?
I don't need it for anything on this list. I would need to update you on some legal issues that we've been dealing with, but I can do that after the list if you want me to go ahead and
Sure,
approve that.
sure.
All right, motion. I recommend the approval of the personnel list as presented.
Motion to
Move to
approve.
approve.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the recommended personnel actions. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it passes 5-0.
Now, we need to go to executive session.
Yeah.
Motion to go to executive session
Second.
For legal discussions.
for legal matters, discussion.
Put
unmute
changes
it
and start the
camera.
cam. Okay.
I move to adjourn executive session. No action was taken during executive session.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Ah,
Opposed? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Ah.
Yes.
5-0. Okay, thank you all very much. Yeah. I'm watching those.